we proved these three results. And this was the first one is in some sense is a generalization of Fermat's Little theorem. For each finite field with q elements, the power of each element up to q equals to the element itself. And this is true for all alpha belongs to the field. And this is the second theorem. It's some corollary. You remember, if we have a field extension F is a subset of E, be a field, and F has cardinality Q, then each element of E whose power satisfy this relation is must be in the field F. And by using this, we prove the existence and uniqueness. At that time, we basically focus on roots of some suitable polynomial. So now we move to the next lecture, and we will explore some more hidden facts about the finite fields, and they are really interesting. So now comes to here. First, we recall some basic definitions that will be helpful. The first definition: what is a prime field? A prime field is a field which has no proper subfield. Except it means that a field, we know that every field is a subfield of itself, but if it has no subset which is a subfield, which is a field also, then we say that such a field is a prime field. For example, if for every prime p, the finite field with p elements is always a prime field. This is because if we take any subfield of this field, then we know that field must contains at least two elements, 0 and 1. And because 1 belongs to that subfield, so by Clojure property, 1 plus 1 also belongs to that field, 1 plus 1 plus 1 also belongs to that field. And continuing in this process, that field, subfield will be equal to this field. So every subfield of Fp will be equal to Fp. So it has no proper subfield. This field can also be denoted by this symbol, Galois field with prime number of elements, Galois field of order P. We can use any notation. We can denote this by Fp or by GFP. This is for every finite field. So we give first the definition of prime field. What is a prime field? A field which has no proper subfield is named as prime field. And the first example is every field of prime order is a prime field. And second example is the field of rational number is also a prime field. It has no subfield. So there is a theorem in the books that every field has up to isomorphism. These are the only prime fields, subfields of every field. For instance, if a field has characteristic 0, then it has some subfield which is isomorphic to Q, and Q has no proper subfield. So every field of characteristic 0 has a prime subfield which is isomorphic to Q, and every field of characteristic P has a prime subfield which is isomorphic to Fp. So up to isomorphism, these are the only prime subfields. They have no proper subfields. So when we will, in our lectures, when we will talk about the subfields of the finite fields, then it will be helpful. These are called prime fields. They are also called base fields. And now comes to the next definition. This is about the roots of polynomial and about the factorization of polynomial into linear factors, which we named as splitting process of a polynomial. When a polynomial can be decomposed into linear factors, then we say that the polynomial splits. Splits mean decomposition into linear factors. And for the linear factors, we need roots. And so linear factors are related to roots. So we are always in a search of a field in which we can find all the roots of a polynomial. and so that we can decompose the polynomial into linear factor. This is not possible in every field. So now let's see the definition. Let's suppose we have this field extension k is a subfield of f, and let f be a polynomial over the field k with positive degree. Then we say that f splits in the field f if it can be written as a product of linear factors in fx. Then we say that this polynomial f splits in the field f. That is, there exist some elements a1, a2 until an belongs to f such that f of x can be decomposed into linear factors, where a is the constant which is actually the leading coefficient of this polynomial. When we decompose, the leading coefficients will appear here. So this is the meaning of splitting a polynomial. If a polynomial, it, it is not necessary that polynomial splits in the given field. For instance, if we take a polynomial in kx, it's not necessary that we can decompose this into this field. Maybe it's possible, maybe it's not possible, but there exists some field f in which we can decompose into completely into linear factors such, and then we say that f, the small f, polynomial small f, splits into that field in which these roots appear. These are the roots, these will be the roots of this polynomial. And the smallest field, and now the smallest field in which f splits is called the splitting field of f over k. We will note down all the fields in which a given polynomial splits, and then the smallest one will be named as splitting field. Means the smallest field in which we can completely factorize the given polynomial into linear factors. Such a field is called splitting field, and so therefore the splitting field of f over k is the smallest field which contains all the roots of f. So one thing is important when we are talking about the splitting field of a polynomial. We must show that from which field we have taken this polynomial. For example, when we study irreducible polynomial, we always say that f is irreducible over some field. It is important to mention the field. If we simply say that f is irreducible, it has no sense. We have to mention the field. Similarly, for splitting field of a polynomial, it is important to mention the field on which the polynomial is taken. As in this example, the polynomial is taken over the field k. This is important. First we mention that f is taken over the field k, and then we will talking about its splitting field. The splitting field of f over k, this is important. This is important to mention that polynomial is taken over which field. The splitting field of f over k is the smallest field which contain all the roots of f. Here I will give you some examples to explain the definition more easily and more convenient. First we recall this theorem here. This theorem guarantees us that the splitting field always exists for each polynomial of positive degree. It's not possible that if we take some polynomial and we say that it has no splitting field. This theorem denies this. This theorem say if f is any polynomial of positive degree over some field k, then there exists a splitting field of f over k. And this field is unique up to isomorphism, means any two splitting fields of f over k are isomorphic. This is a theorem from the first book in the references. And now comes to the example. We are talking about the splitting of polynomial and splitting field in which polynomial completely splits. Splitting field means smallest field in which polynomial completely splits, and splits mean decompose into linear factors. And now consider this polynomial. This is f of x equal to x square plus 1 taken over the field of rational numbers. Here my plan is to just to show you to explain you the definition with the help of example. So we decompose this into, first of all, note that this cannot be decomposed over the field Q, because in Q it has no roots. We cannot decompose, but we can decompose it into the field C. These both the factors are taken over the field of complex numbers. So we conclude that F splits in the field C. Yes. Also notice that F also splits in this field. What is this field? This is a field which consists of elements of this form A plus B iota, where A and B belongs to the rational. This polynomial also splits in this field, but what is now the splitting field? Splitting field will be the smallest field in which this polynomial splits. C is not splitting field of F, because F also splits in this field. But the smallest field in which F splits is the field, this one. So hence the splitting field of F over Q is the field Q extended in I. There is no other smaller field in which F can split. So this is the smallest field in which we can split this polynomial. So this is the splitting field of this polynomial taken over the field Q. Now see another example. If we take this polynomial over the reals, now over the reals it cannot be split, and we have to search for some field which is bigger than R. First of all, when we take some polynomial in over some field, we try to decompose it in that field. And if we cannot decompose, then we search for some bigger field. And the smallest such field will be the splitting field. Here, this is taken over R. Of course, now this is considered in R. So it cannot be decomposed in Rx into linear factors, because when we decompose it, we will get x plus I and x minus I, but x plus I and x minus I are not with real coefficients. So the smallest field in which this can be split is, we extend the reals with the iota and we get C. So C is the smallest field in which this polynomial splits. So the C is the splitting field of this polynomial taken over R. And you notice that by changing the field, the splitting field change. In the first example, we take the polynomial over rational, then the splitting field is Qi, Q extended in I. And when we take the polynomials over R, the splitting field is C. Here is another example. A splitting field of this polynomial taken over Q is this field. Yes, of course it splits in over the reals, but reals are the bigger field. The smallest field is this one in which it can be splits. So this is the splitting field in which it has all the roots. It can be decomposed into linear factor, the smallest such field. I hope you understand the definition. Here is another example. When we learn the course of field extension and Galois theory, and there we study these things in more details. But in this course, this is not our main target, but it's necessary to learn the things. Here we consider another example. This is a common process in field theory, that when we take a polynomial over some field and we try to decompose it into the linear factors, and if we cannot decompose it, we need some bigger field so that we can decompose it into linear factors. So we need some bigger field in which we can find all its root and we can decompose into linear factors, because roots related to linear factors. For example, and then what is the process we adopt is the following, that we find the missing roots of that polynomials and join that roots with the field over which polynomial is taken. For instance, if we take this polynomial over Q, try to understand the process. It cannot be decomposed into linear factor. However, we can decompose into quadratic factors. Yes, but for linear factors, we need roots, and it has no roots in Q. So we find its Q outside of Q. The roots of F in C are plus minus square root of 2 and plus minus I. So what is the process? We extend Q with these roots. Of course, plus minus no impact on field on extending the field. So we extend the field with two elements. What is mean by extending the field with two elements is first we extend this field in Q and then we extend in iota. So this field consists of elements of linear combinations of this form A plus B iota, where A and B belongs to this field. Here we extend until degree 1 because it is the root of polynomial of degree 2. That's why we extend it here. And when we take, and here is a mistake. Here is a mistake. You should correct it that here A and B belongs to the field Qi, not in the Q. It's a mistake. And then when we put the values of A and B, we get A plus B square root of 2 plus C plus D into square root of 2 into I, and it means this is a linear combination of 1 and iota, and scalars should come from this field. And when we put the values, for one place we put this value and for other place we put this value, so we get this field. So it will be a splitting field of F taken over the field Q. So this is the process that often is given in the books about field theory and field extensions. And here is another example. If we consider this polynomial over the field F3, and then when we note that we can decompose into linear factor in this way, and this linear factor does not belongs to F3, and therefore the splitting field of F3 will be the field F3 extended in iota, A plus B iota, A and B belongs to F3, and this is a field with 9 elements. Similarly, if we take this polynomial over the same field F3, we can decompose it in this way. It has two root, plus iota and minus iota, and it has splitting field of F over F3 will be the same field. So this is the process that we adopt. We take polynomial over every field, and it's natural to ask what is its splitting field. Splitting field is the smallest field in which that polynomial has roots. And these examples are just to understand the definition. And now we come back to the finite fields. We will prove the existence and uniqueness of finite fields, and with some different approach as compared to the previous lecture. We will talk about the roots of polynomial, and when we talk about the roots of polynomial, automatically the idea of splitting field came into mind. So now be attentive, be careful. This is the first result of this lecture. We call it lemma 2. First lemma is given in the previous lesson. We named this lemma 2. What is the message of this lemma is, let me try to explain you. If F is a finite field with Q elements and K is a subfield of F. Yes, F is a finite field with Q elements. And here is a capital K. Capital K is a subfield of this field. Yes, we have a field extension. K is smaller field, F is a bigger field. K is contained in the field F. And then we take this suitable polynomial, this important polynomial. We have seen it many, many times, and we will see it many, many times in this course. And this polynomial is x power q minus x. Here q denotes the order of the field F. And this can be factored in the fx as x power q minus x can be written as a product of all the linear factor. Here a varies from the field F. For instance, if F has 3 elements a, b, c, we will write x minus a, x minus b, x minus c. So this is product taken over the field F. A varies from the field F. And because this polynomial is monic, there is no leading coefficient. It's only 1. So, and this F will become the splitting field of this polynomial taken over K. Again, try to understand that if we take two fields, F and K, F is a bigger field with Q elements and K is its subfield. And if we take any polynomial over this smaller field, and then its splitting field will be this field f, means the field in which it can be completely factorized into linear factors. That will be the finite field. In this lemma, we are given a finite field f, and it is the message of the lemma that whenever we take any field, subfield of this finite field and take this polynomial over this subfield k, then the splitting field of this polynomial will be this given finite fields. Means when we can decompose this over the given finite field. We can decompose every polynomial of this type taken over the field k. We can decompose each polynomial of this type x power q minus x taken over the k into linear factors, but these linear factors will be in fx, the given finite field, and f is a splitting field of f will become the splitting field of this polynomial. So this lemma say that what is a finite field? Finite field is actually a splitting field. A finite field is actually a smallest field in which we can decompose this special polynomial into linear factors. What is a finite field? We take this polynomial over any field which is smaller than f or equal to f, and we find its splitting field. We try to decompose into linear factor, and the smallest field in which we can decompose it is splitting field, and that will be finite field. So we are watching finite field from some other angle. We observe that every finite, where f is arbitrary, every finite field is actually a splitting field of this polynomial over k, the last line. Every finite field is a splitting field of this polynomial taken over the k. K is any subfield of f. So now we prove this lemma. Its proof is easy. The polynomial, this polynomial which is taken over the field k, it has degree q. So it has at most q roots in the field f. It cannot have more than q roots. Yes, because roots must be equal to the degree. Because if some element is in the field k, it will be also automatically in the field f. So ultimately all the roots belongs to the field f. F is bigger field. By lemma 1 in the previous lesson, that is we can call it a Fermat's little theorem, that in a finite field, when we take power q of every element, it is equals to that element. So all the element of this field will be root of this polynomial. So by using that lemma, all the elements of f will be roots of this polynomial. So what is f? The finite field is just the set of all roots of this polynomial. And roots are taken in the field f. Here in f means roots are in f, not polynomial. Polynomial is taken over k, but roots in f. So all the roots of this polynomial in the field f. Here in f means roots are in f. So you see, what is a finite field? Finite field is the set of all the roots of this polynomial. Yes. The given polynomial splits in f, and it cannot split in any other smaller field. So it means that the given polynomial, because it's all the roots in this set, and this set equals to f. We are proving that f in this theorem, we are proving that the finite field is actually a splitting field of some polynomial x power q minus x taken over k. So we take the polynomial, we say it has degree q, and then we talk about all of its root, and we say that all the elements of f are its root. So it means f, because if we take some smaller field than this, we cannot split this polynomial. It means f is a splitting field of this polynomial over k. Hence it's proved that every finite field is actually a smallest field in which this polynomial splits. For instance, if I take some smaller field than f, then it will have less number of roots, so we cannot split the polynomial. This is the smallest field. So here we use lemma 1, Fermat's little theorem. You can say that all the elements of f are its root, and it cannot have more than q roots. So all the roots are actually the elements of f. So f is equal to all the roots of this polynomial. It means f is a splitting field of this polynomial. So in this lemma, the message is the following, that every finite field is in fact a splitting field of some suitable polynomial taken over any smaller field. So now I hope you understand and keep trying to understand this. It's interesting. I revise that the message of this lemma is that the every finite field is actually a splitting field of some suitable polynomial, some special polynomial. And what is a splitting field? Splitting field is nothing, just the set of all roots of that polynomial, of this special polynomial. You see in the proof that what is splitting field f? All the roots of this polynomial in f. So this is another approach towards the finite field. Finite fields are just the roots of this special polynomial taken over any smaller field. So now we prove the next theorem, and this is in this lemma is the message is that every finite field is the set of roots of some special polynomials, and that set becomes a field, and we can say that field is a splitting field of that polynomial. Yes, it's a not only splitting field, but is actually consists of all the roots of this polynomial. We take a special polynomial x power q minus x over any smaller field, and find the set which consists of all the roots, and this set becomes f equals to f, and this is the splitting field. So what is the finite field? Is a set of all roots of this polynomial taken over q, and this set becomes a field, so we can say that it is a splitting field of this polynomial. Yes, and now this is the important theorem. We are again talking about existence and uniqueness of finite field. We can skip this, but there are some hidden facts that are important to know for all the students. We cannot skip this, and they are interesting facts. So now, what is the message of this theorem? For each prime p and each positive integer n, there exists a unique finite field with p power n elements. This we have to prove. And from this we can conclude that each finite field of p power n is in fact isomorphic to the splitting field of this polynomial taken over the field fp. The main thing is this one, that for each prime power order we have a unique finite field. But we conclude from this immediately that each finite field is a splitting field of this special polynomial, and this special polynomial taken over the field fp. Now this is a new thing as compared to the previous lemma too, that finite field is a splitting field of the polynomial taken over fp, which polynomial? And this special polynomial. We take this special polynomial over the field fp and find its splitting field. Maybe splitting field is equal to this, then this is the field, and maybe it's bigger. So we will get another finite field. So now we will prove two things. First of all, we will prove existence, and please try to understand this existence. We have to prove that for each prime power order, there exists a finite field with whose order is equal to that number. So we take for q equals to p power n, this is arbitrary. For each, we consider this polynomial over the field fp. We are proving the existence of a finite field whose order is q, and q is p power n. We have to prove that for each order p power n, there exists a finite field of order p power n. So we take some p power n and consider a polynomial x power p power n minus x. Here q equal to p power n over the field this. And we will search some field in the proof. In order to show the existence, we have to search some field whose order is p power n. We have to show the existence of such field. So now, what is the next step? We take some subsplitting field of this polynomial. We don't know what is the subsplitting field, but let f be the subsplitting field of this polynomial taken over fp. Yes, we consider a polynomial over fp, this special polynomial, and we denote the subsplitting field because every polynomial has some subsplitting field. It has some subsplitting field. We denote that field by f. Of course, subsplitting field will be contain this field fp. Fp will be subset of f. And now f is a subsplitting field. If we say that f is a subsplitting field, it means we are saying that all the roots of this polynomial belongs to the field f, and f is the smallest such field. Notice that this polynomial has no multiple roots. Means all the roots will be distinct. Roots will not repeat. Why? Because when we take its derivative has no root. Because its derivative over the field f is -1, and there is some theorem in the books about in the chapters about polynomials which says that whenever we take some polynomial, and what is the method to check multiplicity of root? We take its derivative. If some element is the root of the polynomial and also the root of its derivative, then we say that that root is a multiple root. But here it cannot be happened because its derivative cannot be 0 for any value of x. So from here we conclude that it has all distinct roots in the field f, because f is a subsplitting field. So by definition of subsplitting field, f will consist of all the roots of this polynomial. So there is no repetition of roots. So all these different q roots of this polynomial will belongs to f, because f is a subsplitting field. In the subsplitting field, this polynomial splits into linear factors, and there is no repeated root. So it means this field f will contain q distinct roots of this polynomial. Yes. We have no common roots with x power q minus x. Consider the set, this one, this set. What is this set? This is a set of all the roots of the given particular polynomial. These are f consists of the smallest field, which consists all the roots of x power q minus x. And you know, by definition, splitting field may contain more elements other than field. Is by definition, splitting field definition does not say that splitting field only consists of roots. Definition says that splitting field is a field. It contains all the roots. Maybe there are some other elements which are not the roots. So f is a splitting field. It contains all the roots, and we gathered that root in this set. We collect that roots. Which are the roots of this polynomial has all the roots in f. F is a splitting field, and so we collect all the roots, whatever they are, and bound them in this set. This is a set of all the roots of this polynomial. Yes, and now the matter of cardinality here, we can easily show that this is a subfield. Yes, now this set consists of all the roots of polynomial x power q minus x, and roots cannot repeat, roots are distinct. So this set has all the roots. Now this is a field also. It means the given polynomial splits in this field. By definition, splitting field is a field in which polynomial can be factored into linear factors. Polynomial has all the roots. This polynomial has all the roots in this field. Now notice that f, we suppose that f is a splitting field, okay. But now we observe that we are watching that all the roots of this polynomial are in S, and therefore S is and also S is a field. So we can say that this polynomial splits in this field, and and we conclude that this splits in this field S because S contains all of its roots, Q roots, because there is no repetition in root. It contains all Q roots, but S is a subset of F. By definition, F will be the smallest field which contain all the roots. S also contains all the roots. S is also field. So by smallest property of splitting field, we get S equal to F. And what is the cardinality of F? Equals to Q, the number of elements in S. And this polynomial has Q roots. Again, see, we are given that we are proving the existence. We will prove that for every prime power order p power n, this polynomial x power qx, we consider this polynomial over fp, and suppose capital F is some splitting field of this polynomial. Splitting field means the smallest field in which the polynomial has all the roots. Because the derivative of this polynomial cannot be equal to 0, so no element can be root of its derivative. So there are no chance of repeated roots. See in your book exercise or in theory, there are some result about checking the multiplicity of roots using the derivative. And so it has no repeated root. This polynomial has all distinct roots, and in the field F. Why all the roots in F? Because F is a splitting field. We accept that F is a splitting field, so all the roots will be in F, and it can be factored. It has no repeated roots, so all the Q roots, it can be factored into linear factors. So all linear factors will be over the field F, so all the roots will be in F. And what we will do, we collect all the roots of this polynomial and prove that this set of all the roots of this polynomial is a field. Now we have another field, and this polynomial also splits in this, but this field is smaller than F. So by the definition of splitting field, the smallest property of splitting field implies that they are equal, and the cardinality of F equals to the cardinality of this set of roots. They are equals to Q. So hence we prove that there exists a field with Q elements. We start with some Q equals to p power n, and we ultimately we get a field with Q elements. So there must exist a field with Q elements where Q is power of a prime. Yes, so this proves the existence of finite field for each prime power order. And now we prove the uniqueness. In the previous lecture, we proved the uniqueness by counting the roots. But here we will use the effect of splitting fields. It's another proof of uniqueness. And it's a nice proof. See here, let F be a finite field with p power n elements, then F has characteristic P, because we have proved in the beginning of this course that every finite field has, if it has order p power n, its characteristic must be P. So it contains a copy of the field Fp. In the basic field theory, there are two types of fields. The fields whose characteristic is 0 and the field whose characteristic is prime. And it is basic result that every field whose characteristic is P must contain a copy of the field Fp. And here this field has characteristic P, it contains a copy of Fp, and if a field contains, if a field has characteristic 0, then it must contain a copy of the field Q. So this is the basic result. So, but this field has characteristic P, so it contains Fp as a subfield. Yes, so we have a finite field and Fp is its subfield. Then by lemma 2, if we consider this polynomial x power q minus x over Fp, its splitting field will be F by lemma 2. Lemma 2 is the same if we take any splitting field over any subfield of this field, its splitting field is F. So it means F is a splitting field of this polynomial. And there is a theorem I have mentioned at the start of this lesson that finite field is unique up to isomorphism. So it means because this is a finite field, and now this is a splitting field of this polynomial over Fp. So it must, by this theorem, it must be unique. So this proves the uniqueness of this theorem. So now in this another proof I gave in this lecture, we use splitting fields idea. Splitting field relates to the roots of this special type of polynomials. I hope you understand it. And now here, before going to next result, we first observe some interesting things now and about the finite fields. Now we can apply another approach towards the finite fields by using this technique. For example, suppose we want to construct the field with 9 elements. Yes. Step 1, we take this polynomial x power 9 minus x over the field F3. This is we learned in the previous theorem that every finite field of p power n order is a splitting field of some polynomial taken over Fp. Now this is a field of 9 elements. 9 is 3 square. So we take this polynomial taken over F3 and we find its splitting field. And we have noticed another things that for this special polynomial, the splitting field is nothing than the set of all the roots of this polynomial. Yes. So we will just, what we do, we just find its root. We will find all the roots in some field which contain F3, and the set of all roots will be the required field of order 9 in F9. That is F9. What is F9? Is the set of all roots taken over this polynomial. Of course, this polynomial has 9 roots. 3 roots are in this field, but remaining 6 roots are not here. The remaining 6 root, we have to find another field, and F9 is that field. So this is the root approach, solving this polynomial. Finding the finite fields means we have to find the root of some polynomial. Yes, that's why finding roots is important. Now see another example. And here I mention some examples so that you learn these examples and think about this. What is happening this? Observe them. Make some observations, and then we discuss these observations later in the next lecture. Now, consider the field F8, field with 8 elements. You know, one way, the field with 8 elements can be obtained by can say by extending the field F2 with some root of this polynomial. We have discussed in detail in the previous lectures now, but this is the field with 8 elements. The common way to construct this takes an irreducible polynomial of degree 3 and we construct this field. This is a field with 8 elements. These are its elements and theta satisfy this relation. Yes, this is what we know before. We have this finite field with 8 elements. And now what I am doing new is the following. Let us make an experiment and take some powers of this element theta. Let us compute the powers of this theta and see what happened. Now we take theta power 0, we get 1. yes, theta power 0, and we take this element 1. And then we take theta power 1 equals to theta. Theta power 2 is theta square. 2 is the same, theta 3. And now theta 3, see in this theta cube is, you cannot see theta cube here. Theta cube is not visible here. But using this relation, theta cube equals to 1 plus theta. So this is our theta cube. Yes. So we get theta cube equals to 1 plus theta. When we multiply theta on both sides, we get theta plus theta square. But using that relation, we get, this is another element of the field. Now multiplied by theta, we get theta power 5 equals to theta square plus theta cube. And by using that relation, we put the value of theta cube, that is equals to theta cube equals to 1 plus theta, and we get finally this answer. And now again multiplies both sides by theta, we get theta plus theta square plus theta cube, and again put the value of theta cube, we get 1 plus theta square. And what is theta 7 is this, put value of theta cube, and then after simplifying we get 1. So you say, we see that what happened with the this is maybe is there a mistake if we put value of theta cube equals to 1 plus theta. What is theta cube? Theta cube will be equals to 1 plus theta. Theta cube is 1, theta plus theta will 0 and 1. Yes, is good. So we see that we can change the labeling of the elements of F8. Now we can denote them by 0, 1, theta, theta square, theta cube, theta 4, 5, 6, and 7. Here I think I have made some mistake here, because this is this theta 7 is written here, is a mistake. We delete this theta 7 because theta 7 equals to 1. Be careful. I have write it mistaken. This is a typing mistake. So we have two elements, this and then theta up to theta 6, and theta 7 is 1. This is a mistake. Remove theta 7. So notice that uh, if we delete 0 from this one, we get a multiplicative group. We know the field minus 0 is multiplicative group, and you see now this multiplicative group is now generated by theta. All the elements are powers of theta. So it is a cyclic group. So this thing you should observe. We can write all the elements of the finite fields. This is the finite field, first look. But after some simplification, some manipulations, we see that all the elements can be right except 0 in the some power of theta. So we get a cyclic group of order 7 if we exclude 0 here. And we close this lesson here, but be careful. This will not always happen that we get only the powers of theta. You should make some more experiment with other examples. I think here theta is actually the root, is the generator of this group, but it will not always happen that theta is always in some examples 1 plus theta will be generator. In some examples maybe theta square is generator. We are not sure. This is by chance happened that theta becomes a generator. So next, I request you, I insist you that take some more examples and try to see what happens. Can we do the same trick with other examples? Maybe in other examples, they cannot be right in the power of theta, but maybe we can find some more other element instead of theta, and we can change its label. We can denote that element by alpha, by beta, and that becomes the generator. But this is true that always the finite fields, if we remove 0 from it is group, we know already, but it will become a cyclic group. This is the new thing that we will learn in our next lecture. I hope you understand. So these are the references, and thank you very much.